We are live from the KTN News Center here in Nairobi. Good morning and welcome to Inside Politics, Kenya's premier Sunday morning political broadcast where we dissect the biggest political and policy issues in the country. My name is Michelle Ngele Odhiambo, sitting in for Ben Kitili. Our top stories this week: President Uhuru Kenyatta this week daring his deputy William Ruto to leave the government if he is dissatisfied. The deputy president in a rebuttal saying he will not resign despite pressure from his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta. The public outbursts between the two coming in the wake of renewed talks on the impeachment of Deputy President William Ruto. We will also discuss the latest on the BBI drama, the chaos and drama at the Baringo County Assembly this week during the debating of the BBI bill as Homa Bay joined Siaya and Kisumu counties in passing the referendum bill. MCAs from Western now demanding 500,000 shillings each to pass the BBI Bill 2020. Also, parties to the International Criminal Court on Friday elected Britain's Karim Khan as a new prosecutor for a 9-year term beginning June 16th. Karim Khan, who is also the Queen's Counsel, was Deputy President William Ruto's lead defense counsel at The Hague. What does this appointment from defender to prosecutor mean for Ruto's ICC case? My panelists this morning are Rosalie Nobala, who is a senior reporter with The Standard, who will be joining us for this conversation. We also have political analyst Javas Bigambo joining us live from studio. Political strategist Kipchumba Karori will be joining us later on. And last but not least, political risk analyst Dismas Mukua also joining us live in studio. The relations between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto continue to go south, with the president openly asking his deputy to resign from government if he is dissatisfied. The president accused Ruto of double-speak and seeking to divide Kenyans for his own political gains. Meanwhile, Deputy President William Ruto, who was in Isiolo on Saturday, instead turned on his rivals in the opposition, asking them to quit the handshake if they are unhappy over the Jubilee administration's performance. Let's listen in.
Unakuja unasema kwa mdomo moja serikali ni mbaya, alafu kwa mdomo mwingine ati tumefanya kama serikali. Kwani serikali ni ngapi? Mnajua serikali ngapi Kenya hii? Ni moja ama ni mbili? Si ni moja? Si ni moja? Kama unataka uzuri wake, kae naye. Kama unataja ubaya wake, toka uache wale wengine waendelee. Lakini huwezi kuja na mdomo moja unasema hii, mdomo mwingine unasema matusi ya wale ambao mko ndani yao na mmesema mnafanya na wao. Ama ni namna gani wenzangu? Kuirago heshima sio? Tuheshimiane jameni.
There is no contest between me and my boss, and I respect the decision of the president, and the president calls the shots. He is in charge, and I have not countermanded any decision. And I will continue to work as Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya because that is my place in the Constitution. Hata kama kazi ambazo ningekuwa nafanya mimi kama naibu wa rais inafanywa na wengine, mimi pia nimeheshimu uamuzi huo.
Well, the Deputy President, while on a tour of Isiolo County, found himself on the receiving end as pro-BBI youth heckled him during his speech. Let's take a look at what transpired and discuss that in a bit. Let's bring in our panelists once again. Roslyn Obala, senior reporter with The Standard, joining us live here in studio. Jabas Bigambo, political analyst, as well as political risk analyst Dismas Mokua. Ladies and gentlemen, many thanks for joining us here on Inside Politics. Roslyn, let's begin with you. Ladies first. So President Uhuru Kenyatta, after many salvos directed to his deputy, William Ruto, this week coming out openly asking his deputy to resign if he is dissatisfied with the government, saying that the deputy cannot speak on one hand, saying he's championing development projects, on the other hand, saying the very same government is corrupt. Give us your thoughts on the remarks of the president in Uthiru this week.
Thank you, Michelle. If you look at what the president said, I think we are just seeing that the center cannot hold anymore, and these two gentlemen cannot see eye to eye. And this is not the first time. Remember, last year we've been talking about this end of the bromance that started in 2013, and both leaders have been denying the same and saying that they are together. This is actually the first time that the deputy president is revisiting the issue of his roles being taken by other people. Remember when Interior CS Fred Matiang'i was given the role of the chief minister and the chair of the cabinet committee that sits every Tuesday. He denied and said that he's still the deputy president and the second in command. But you can see yesterday he actually revisited this matter and he said despite his roles being taken, he has remained the deputy president and he knows his place in government as a principal assistant to the president. Now, if you look at the two consecutive meetings that the president has held, one, he talked about not handing over power to thieves and people who are going to exploit Kenyans. And the second time, I think for the first time, he went direct to his deputy and told his deputy, if you cannot hold it, quit. So I think with this, he's just telling us that they can no longer see eye to eye. Yes, they're in government. The deputy president has a security of tenure, and the only way to remove him is through an impeachment or if he resigned himself. And I think the president is telling him, we can no longer work. Either you are in government, you shelve your political ambitions for 2022 and promote the Jubilee agenda, or quit and start your early campaigns.
Right, Bigambo, the president named no names really in this speech, but there was no doubt as to who the target of his words were. He also talked about Kenyans or leaders who incite Kenyans to turn each other, undoubtedly referring to the Hustler dynasty narrative that has been propagated recently. Your thoughts on the president's all-out stance?
Well, thank you. First, from the remarks of His Excellency the President in Uthiru, and the manner in which they were directed, it leaves no doubt that it was intended for the reception of the Deputy President. And continually we see that the Deputy President, William Ruto, is sailing against the wind. And this works totally against himself, his interests, and the perception that he creates, that the manner in which the curse of ambition is shrouding him, he does not need and is not keen to slow down. Now, for William Ruto, I would say that before he becomes that president that is promising to be for this country, it is desirable that he should endeavor to be that durable and proper deputy president, so that somebody can see the role that he's playing and successfully so, and that then he fits the bill of being a president as he so aspires. Now, a challenge is that all this is political. And the deputy president in Isiolo yesterday also indicated that he remains a principal advisor without a portfolio, which means that actually there is nothing that he can advise on because he has been removed from the space of operation. And that is quite challenging for him. Being unneeded and it being made clear to you is something that does not work for his politics. Additionally, we see that the president has chastised his deputy for speaking with both sides of his mouth. One, that he celebrates the achievements of the Jubilee administration, the other side being an internal critic of the very system. Here, of course, it is apparent to any onlooker that the president and his deputy are pulling in different directions. which actually makes it untenable for them to jointly work for the desired goal, ambition, plans, and goals of the Jubilee government. And so then the deputy president finds himself as a stranger within the very government that he participated in forming. And it's purely because of the cast of ambition that Shakespeare reminds us helped to kill Julius Caesar.
So we've seen the deputy speaking in Isiolo, and Dismas, you could speak to this. He denied claims of undermining the president, saying the president is a final decision maker in the Jubilee administration, saying he will not resign despite his duties as deputy having been taken away. And we've seen members allied, or leaders allied to the deputy president, also laugh at renewed talks of the impeachment of the deputy amidst the chaos between him and the president. How do you think this is likely to further inform the agenda in the Jubilee administration?
Well, unfortunately, we're in a space whereby the leading politicians in Kenya are now plunging into the politics of toxic presentations, whereby everything they say, it's either fake news, alternative facts, deceit, or lies. And even if you are a stranger in Jerusalem, you're a stranger in Kenya, you will know that there's a toxic relationship between President Kenyatta and his deputy. The deputy president, times above number, has indicated that he actually doesn't know what is happening in this administration. So one wonders why he's not even resigned. And where does the buck stop? When you go through all the presidencies all over the world, the buck stops with the head of state. It stops with the president. In the case of Kenya, the buck stops with President Kenyatta. And if you're serving in his administration, you must dance to his tune. You must dance to his drum beats. His word is as good as law. The moment you have divergent views, the only place where you can express divergent views is at the cabinet meeting or a cabinet room. Now, when you come outside, you must display your loyalty. If you think that you're not able to play in that league, then the first thing you have to do is to pull out of that administration. You cannot on Monday claim that Jubilee is the best thing which has happened in this world, then the second day you're hitting on your president. Now, for the deputy president to say that he's always worked with the president, that he's been loyal, and indicated in saying that President Kenyatta ndio mtu wa kusema, but President Kenyatta came up with the Building Bridges initiative. His deputy dismissed it. Then there was a BBI, the deputy dismissed it. Then how do you say that you're pulling in the same direction with the president, that whatever the president comes up with an initiative which is not consistent with their 2022 ambitions, you dismiss it, and then you get your sycophants and supporters to spend an entire day insulting the president and his family. That is unacceptable. And if the deputy president was very genuine in his concerns, then the first thing he would have done is to resign, just like the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga did when he found out that he cannot survive in the administration of President Kenyatta.
Right. So, I mean, as it stands, the president has made it clear the deputy cannot, on one hand, come and take, credit for development projects under the Jubilee administration, or still hitting out at the Jubilee administration. Rosalind, we have word now that, allocation to the office of the deputy president has been slashed, with estimates contained in the draft policy statement. Many seeing this as a way of really crippling the deputy president, stopping him on going on further campaigns ahead of the referendum drive and the 2022 general election. What would inform the slashing of budgets to the DP's office?
Michelle, this is not the first time that the budget to the Deputy President's office has been slashed. Remember, last year we also covered this issue when that budget was slashed. And one of the conversations we had was that it's because of this economic difficulty. And I think at that particular time, almost all government entities, the ministries and the agencies, all their budgets were slashed towards the COVID mitigation. So this is not the first time that we are seeing this. We've covered issues where staff in the Deputy President's office are actually not able to discharge their duties because they are not able to get the funds. But remember, the person who still controls is a State House controller. So as much as the budget is allocated to the Deputy President, the person who actually ensures this money is dispersed is the controller, the State House controller. But if you look at this, it's just reaffirming what the president has said, that you have to support me in my legacy agenda. You cannot expect to receive money from the public coffers to advance your personal agenda, because what we are seeing now and what we've seen the president saying, that he is focused to have a legacy, and he has for the first time come out and said, I am going on next year, and I don't care about that, but what I care is, where will I leave this country when I leave? Now, if you look at 2017, when the Jubilee administration was re-elected, they were re-elected on the platform of the Big Four agenda. The next year, that was 2018, there was a handshake between Raila Odinga and the president, and that bore the BBI initiative. Before that, we saw the president heighten the fight on corruption. So if you look at this, you find that these are actually the things that are before the president and what he wants to see when he exits next year. But if you look at the deputy president says, I'm not opposed to the BBI, but it is not a priority at the moment. So you can see these are two people in one government, but they're not speaking the same language. So why do you want me to facilitate your office when I know what you're advancing is not my agenda?
Right. Let's begin. A political strategist, Kipchumba Karori. He is joining us by way of Zoom. Many thanks for joining us. I mean, if you've been following the conversation, the president going all out at his deputy, the deputy saying he will not resign despite pressure from his boss. And this has all reignited talks of the possible impeachment of the deputy president. We have the likes of Lugari Member of Parliament, Ayub Sabula. They're talking about tabling a motion to remove Ruto from office, saying they actually have the numbers to thwart it. Those allied to Ruto have laughed off the talks of impeachment. Your thoughts on how this is developing?
Michelle, it is quite unfortunate and it is regrettable that to believe the party most of us believed in has degenerated to just, I would say, kitchen gossip and all manner of things away from the landmark promises they gave us and all the things that they sold to Mwananchi. Coming back to what is obtaining currently within Jubilee, I will try to look at it from two angles. One is that the two gentlemen who are at the heart of Jubilee, William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, have different, although they share the dream, the Jubilee dream that brought them together. The problem is that whereas we are 18 months or 17 months to the next election, Uhuru Kenyatta might be having different ideas on who or the person he might want to replace him. But whatever has happened in the last 1 week, I think Uhuru Kenyatta is laying down two things. The first thing, he is laying down the grounds for impeachment of William Ruto. When you look at all he's saying, they are demonstrable towards achieving the goal that was set out in the beginning of the year by Savula. And Kaluma told us that the first priority of Parliament in this fifth session is the impeachment of William Ruto. And the other thing that Uhuru Kenyatta is working on, people might not see it, but when you sit from a political table, you see that Uhuru Kenyatta is working on a way so that tomorrow, when he betrays William Ruto, he has a reason to. That is why all the grumbling you have seen, being disrespected and other things. And my third cue that I took from the Kiamaiko rebuke, the other thing is, you cannot tell whether he was telling this to William Ruto or to Raila Odinga, because Raila Odinga has once in a while also criticized government and is in the same government. So once in a while you ask yourself, who was this banter addressed to? But assuming, as the panel has assumed, that it was addressed to William Ruto, what we must ask ourselves going forward is, does this build William Ruto or destroy him? Because where we are currently, we have begun that season where the season of political madness, you look at something from, when you look at it as a strategist, you ask yourself, where does it leave William Ruto? From where I sit, there is something, Michelle, we call in this country the sympathy vote. The person who has it has an upper hand. Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto rode on the sympathy vote of the Hague cases to come to power in 2013. What will happen here is that we might likely see a recreation of 202, but this time around we will have three horses. There will be the Mudavadi, Gideon Moi, Kalonzo horse, and there will be the William Ruto, the Tanga Brigade.
We seem to have a problem with your sound, Karori. We'll be coming back to you, but we want to take a short break very briefly. Bigambo, very, very briefly, let's answer that question. Where does all this leave Deputy President William Ruto, especially when you bring in the sympathy vote?
Well, it seems clear to any observer that there is an apparent scheme to clip the wings of William Ruto and defeather him without hot water, as it happens to chicken. And that is the unfortunate situation that the political circumstances have created. And here we see that William Ruto as well is riding on the back of the tiger without the proper imagination that he could end up within the belly of that same tiger. So he needs to play his cards pretty well so that he does not poke his fingers continually in the eyes of the system, which he's within its bounds. Mm-hmm. Additionally, you see that President Kenyatta also, and all the events happening are very historical. Jomo Kenyatta had numerous deputies or vice presidents. Daniel Arap Moi had various deputies. Mwai Kibaki had various deputies. Here we are having Uhuru Kenyatta going down in history potentially as the only president with one deputy through his 2 terms. And that, while it's clear, it is also creating a situation where one wonders that, is it possible to overturn this likelihood and create a situation where it is improbable to have a president with 1 deputy throughout the period of his terms?
Right.
Either way, we are in a quagmire that is failing or faulting our governance system.
Right. Dismas, very briefly before we take a break.
There are some statements which have been made which are statements of error. Number one, Raila Odinga is not part of the Jubilee administration. He's not a vice president, nor is he a cabinet minister. So there is no way President Kenyatta would be asking Raila Odinga to resign from his administration. He's not part of the deal. What they have is an informal handshake. And then number two, the buck stops with the deputy president, who is unhappy with what is happening in Kenya. And if these two keep on pulling in 2 different directions, both of them they'll end up being a threat to our national security. Because when the president is pulling towards Kisumu and his deputy is pulling towards Sugoi, then there's a very high chance that we are going to have political instability, which creates economic issues. So the 2 of them must put their house in order. Because the rest of Kenyans, including Mura wants political stability. And among the 2, the person who would do the most honorable thing and leave office is not President Kenyatta, is the deputy president. Because the deputy president indicates he's in office, but he's not serving. So what is the most honorable thing for him to do? Quit.
All right, let's also bring in Githuba Karori also just before we take a break. So you've heard, what Dismas, what Bigambo have had to say on this. Where do you think this leaves the deputy president?
Michelle, we must understand that we are in a political season. Even the people calling for resignation of William Ruto are calling for his resignation not to sober the state of political affairs, but to advance a political ideology. Didmas and whoever they are calling for that is to just make sure that they clip William Ruto so that it is easy to beat him. The whole process comes down to how can we beat William Ruto in 2022, including how the campaigns on BBI have been fashioned. All of us are not strangers in this country. When you see the campaigns on BBI, in 1 hour, they talk about 15 minutes, they discuss BBI. 3/4 of the other time, they discuss William Ruto. So the honorable thing to do at the point is for Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto to sit in a room the same way they sat somewhere and came to us and asked for a vote, and to be sober while at it. The other point will be this: they can agree to disagree, that whereas we don't agree on core issues, they will bear each other for the remaining 18 months, and so that we go to polls.
All right, let's take a short break. We'll be back with this and so much more. When we come back, we focus on the road to referendum, the train currently at the county level, with county assemblies debating the bill. Many say public participation in this process is a facade, but we'll also be shining focus on the chaos that marred the debate on the floor of the assembly at the Baringo County Assembly as Homa Bay joined Kisumu and Siaya counties in passing the referendum bill. Do stay with us. This is Inside Politics.